Welcome to the Branded Impact Podcast. On this show, we go beyond surface level branding, honest conversations with industry leaders, behind the scenes of aligned brand building, and actionable insights to help you elevate your presence. I'm your host, Jo Espejo, aka Jo. Hit subscribe and join me each week for the Branded Impact Podcast. What if your business could run smarter and feel more aligned? Tara Leson is a systems and strategy powerhouse helping online business owners streamline, scale, and stay true to their purpose. She's all about closing the gaps so that you can live your why and build a business that makes real impact. Tara, thank you so much for joining us on the Branded Impact podcast today. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're the most passionate about in your business right now?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this conversation. So, I am Tara Leson, and I absolutely love helping business owners combine systems and strategy to grow and scale their businesses and really do it in a way that fits you and what you actually want in your business and in your life. Like, I'm so incredibly passionate about that because I find that sometimes we get caught up in all of the different things that you see online, and there's so much out there that you know we see people doing, and the influence of all of this stuff, that sometimes we can forget why we actually started our own business and what we really want in life. And so I love to kind of bring people back to that and find out, what do you truly want? How do you want to define success for yourself? And let's get you building towards that and setting up your business so that you can actually achieve that.
I think it's getting
Mhm.
caught up in the shoulds, right? Like there's all
Yeah,
these, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. And the next thing you know, you're trying to chase all the shoulds and then you
yeah,
forget why, what am I doing? Wait, where did I even, like, what is the purpose of all of this?
exactly.
And then I love the strategy piece. And I think this is something that I wish I would have known sooner, that there's actually all these systems and things that you can put into place to make your day to day easier.
Hmm.
Of us didn't know. Like, I remember the first time I learned about systems, I remember talking to the girl and being like, I don't even know what to ask you. Like, I don't even know what's a possibility. But I'd love to start first by taking a little bit of a rewind and give us a little bit of a backstory onto what even got you started into running your own business.
Yes. So I have quite the backstory, actually. I started it, well, I started what I'm kind of doing now a number of years ago. I actually started the systems and strategy way back when I was getting my nursing degree, which was almost 13 years ago now. Would have been 13 years ago in May, actually. So over 13 years. I started doing that, and I was helping one of my friends out with her foot care business. And so I was doing the systems, the strategy, all of that for her. And it was like an in person thing at the time. And I needed extra money while I was going to school. So I was helping her do that. And through nursing, I still did it a bit on the side after I got my degree and while I was working. And I ended up in 2020, um, like many people did, opening my first business. And it wasn't actually doing what I'm doing now, but it was in fitness because I always had a passion for fitness. But I really wanted to do that. And I was also nursing. So I had to have all of the systems set up for it to be able to do both at the same time. So I was really doing the systems thing at the same time anyways, and people were asking me how I was working and running my fitness business, because at the time I actually had 3 nursing jobs. It was a little nuts.
Yeah.
So I had 3 nursing
True,
jobs.
a true multi-passionate entrepreneur, somebody that has like
Yeah,
all of the different jobs and.
I know, it was insane. So I was doing that. I had my 3 nursing jobs, I had my fitness business, and that was going really well. I loved it. And
And
people
you
were,
had kids at home because
yes.
you
Yeah,
have.
and I had my kids. Like, not enough to do. Um, so I had all of this, but people were asking me, like, how do you juggle everything? Because it's hard to have this business and all the jobs and the family and all of this. So I was doing the systems and strategy already. And so I started helping people with that again, and eventually opened my business doing what I do now. And that was almost 3 years ago that I opened the business that I have currently, and just went full time into this because I do truly love the business side of things. And without going into so much more, but my one of my big passions is really helping women and helping them, make choices for themselves, get ahead for themselves, and know that like you can go after anything that you want.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the things that holds a lot of people back is just the overwhelm, right? Like you get
Yeah.
started, you have this idea and you want to start a business, and especially those that, have kids at home and all that stuff, but then you're trying to balance all the things.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that I hear about often and have experienced myself is the burnout, where it's like you
Hmm.
just feel like you're constantly going. And then
Hmm.
the systems have been a big piece in my business as far as like being able to stay on top of some of the stuff. And I'm actually in the process of trying to kind of, I mean, it pairs with summer too, but like slow down a little bit
Yeah.
to reevaluate how I can then set myself up to be able to do more, but in the sense of letting the business do things on the back end more,
Yeah.
right? Not like I physically have to do more, but like allowing the space and opening up that opportunity. So you
Hmm.
decided you wanted to take this pivot, and I loved your backstory. Thank you, because I and it's always to me so fascinating that there's so many people that have been so multi passionate, and then how you can change. And I think that's something else too that sometimes people forget. You can start something and then pivot,
Oh yeah.
because it sounded like you were nursing and then you
Yeah.
decided to start your own business on the side. And 2020 was a hot ticket, like a hot button for a lot of people.
Yep.
um, Timing wise, for me, I always say it was a God thing because I decided to make the shift at the very end of 2019. And I'm
Hmm.
so glad I did because I was then able to be home for my children on that
Yeah.
eternal spring break. But what came out of it after, and then I speak to so many people who have a similar story in the sense of timing wise or just pivoted, or 2020 was a catalyst for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you started out in one business and then you pivoted, and I think that's where the beauty of it, like when I decided to go full-time in my business, it was not branding. That was not the direction I wanted to go in. I started out with families and I thought I wanted to do newborns, and then I realized that didn't align. It didn't fit for this stage of my life. And I
Hmm.
kind of had to open up my eyes to an opportunity that kind of kept knocking. And that sounds like what happened to you,
Yeah.
because you had people coming to you asking you, how are you doing it? How
Hmm.
are you managing all of the different jobs and your own business? And oh, by the way, you're a person and a mom
Yeah.
and, and all these other things on the side. Well, as you decided to pivot, what are some of the intentional things that you've done to grow your brand that you feel like, if you're looking back, really worked? And is there anything that you wish you would have done sooner?
Yeah. So something that I more so in my business now I've done is bring a lot more of, I think, my story into it,
Mhm.
and tell a lot more of that, I think. And I do wish that maybe I'd done that sooner. I don't know. I don't know if it would have applied the same necessarily in fitness. I think that it's easier to apply it to the business sense, but also, I don't know, I still could have worked it and applied it, but definitely applying, because there's a lot more to why I started my business when I did. I was previously divorced and needed to be at home for my kids because we were going through a whole lot of things with that. Um, my son is with my ex, and then my daughter is with my new husband. And so there was just a lot going on. And I couldn't work the 12-hour shifts at being a nurse. And so I needed to be at home for them, needed to figure out something else. And there was just like a lot. Um, and so I've talked about, that through my business now, and why, you know, being able to make decisions for yourself and like actually go after these things is so important. And it is a big part of, why I chose to do that and why I chose to actually start my first business. It's also why I even chose to go into nursing, actually, because that was the first thing that I did when I got divorced.
Okay.
So there's like a whole backstory to it. And I started telling more of this when, you know, I started my second business. And I feel like that has been, that's been really good. And that's led to a lot of, you know, more deeper connections, I guess, with people. And I've been able to not only tell that, but get more passionate about just like my overall values in general and just really bring that forward in my business and make it more of a personal brand thing.
I love that. And I think that's where it ties into like building that know, like, and trust factor. And when
Hmm.
you're telling your story, there's some people that can relate to it in one way
Yeah.
or another. So even if they may not have gone through a divorce, or maybe they are not pivoting in businesses or whatever the case may be. And this is where sometimes I think we get caught up in our own heads like, oh, I don't want to share my story because who wants to relate? And then you get to choose how much detail you're putting into it because some people are open books and they're like, listen, I'm going to tell you every detail. And then
Hmm.
others are just going to say, listen, for me, my story is I decided to leave corporate and pursue my own passions because I wanted to be able to determine how successful I could be. And I wanted to be able to be home more. And I didn't want to have to ask permission to be able to be at all the things or take my
Hmm.
kids to all the places. And so I think, you can get into how much detail as far as what's that motivating factor? What does that do? But then the authenticity, so
Yeah.
that's what you're finding is that you being authentic and you telling your story is helping people resonate and relate and build trust, even if they can't necessarily relate to every single piece of your story. All of a sudden, you humanize your brand and you're like, hey,
Yeah.
listen, there's a purpose. I am a person, and here's my mission. And oh, by the way, I can help you with this. And it's like, do you like me? Can you relate? Do you understand what I'm doing? And then that drives them to want to work with you.
Hmm.
I love that. And so what are some of the
Yeah.
pieces that you've done? So you pivoted and then now you offer strategy.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways that you've structured it? So where are some of the places that you are right now? Like how are you visible? How can people find you? What are some of the things that you found that's working?
Yeah. So, what I really like, and there's a couple things that I always tell people is because I find that so many people that I talk to right now are finding that they are really overwhelmed with everything that they have to do. Like everyone is just finding that like they're feeling like they have to do all of these things and it's too much, and how do they keep up with everything, and like how are they on every platform and how are they doing all of the things. And it's really finding like trying to narrow that down, finding what works for you, finding the things that are actually, you don't have to be on everything. What is actually the ones that are getting you leads, getting you clients, what actually works for you, building connections. And that's the one like really huge piece is building the connections. There's so much AI out there too.
Mhm.
And so many people rely on AI for content, for like everything. And if you can show up and be human and actually talk to people, that is something that is working really, really well.
So what are some of
Because,
the things that you do? Do you do social media? I know you have a website.
mhm,
What are some of the actual platforms that you're on that you found you like the best? And I want to dive in second. We'll dive in a little bit more into how do you determine which one do you want to be on,
yeah,
but which ones are the ones that are working for you right now? So I know you have a website,
yeah,
but then how are you getting your name out there? Which platforms do you like, or have you found the best way to form connections with?
yes. So this is funny actually, because no one likes Facebook, but I actually love it. And I have found that it works really, really well if you actually go in there intentionally again and try to build connections and you actually talk to people. And I've found that using other groups and finding groups that are aligned with what you do and that have the people that are, aligned with you, aligned with your values. And let's say that you let's say that you have a fitness business, for example. This is just an easy one. Don't go and just post in random groups or try to connect in random groups. Like, go in there intentionally. Find, if you want to work with like moms in fitness, find groups that moms who are looking for, fitness tips would be in. And that doesn't just mean fitness groups. It also means like mom groups. It means like wellness. Like, think outside the box too. But Facebook is like, it is actually a gold mine, and it's one that people often overlook because they go straight to Instagram. And it's not saying Instagram's bad, because I do use it as well, but Facebook is actually really good.
I think it depends on your target. And I feel like,
Hmm.
and I've been joking about this because I often hear, I know I need to be on Instagram. And my response is always,
It
well, do
depends.
you?
Yeah,
Like, do you? And they look at me like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I mean, I do believe that every business should have a presence on the social media channels as a visibility and credibility piece. But
yeah,
as far as what is your campaign, it all depends on who your target audience is and where does your
exactly.
target audience live.
Yep.
And we hear the hype about Instagram. They've done a really great job
Hmm.
building up like their name and their brand awareness and all those pieces. But
Hmm.
Facebook is still winning. Like, I'm like, guys, when
Yeah,
you look at the numbers and you look at the activity and the thought, I was like, Facebook is actually still bigger. Why everyone just talks about Instagram,
I know.
I'm not sure.
Yep.
But I also am like, but then also you can't discount YouTube and you can't discount Google and you can't discount
Yep.
any of them. And it all really comes back to who is your target audience and where are they?
Exactly.
Because I'm like,
Exactly.
you do need to have a presence. Again, I do think it's become a visibility and credibility check. Like it's almost
Yep.
become like a second website. People want to know that you're legit. They want to
Yep.
know that you have a website. They also want to know that you have a presence. Like,
Yep.
have you at least posted in the last month or two? Because if the last time you posted was in 2024, people are going to wonder, are you even in business still? Because
Mhm.
nowadays, everybody has a presence in those pieces.
Yep.
But then, like you're saying, what your strategy is really depends on what is your business and who are you trying to target. And so, a
Mhm.
strategy that's working really well for you is getting into groups that already exist
Yep.
and forming connections. But what you've done is figured out a way to go find where your target audience is living and interacting.
Yeah.
And then you start showing up in those places. And that's amazing. That's the same thing I would recommend for a networking group. There's 5 bajillion networking groups out there.
Yep.
You can network yourself to death. But if you walk into a networking group and it's full of the wrong people, and the networking should be two things. One, either can you be a fountain referral source? Like, are you networking or do you have connections with people who you could connect me with? Or is it a room full of my target people? And
Yep.
then you know you're in the right place. But if you walk into a room and it's full of people that you would never do business with or that don't even
Mhm.
have clients or connections with people that you do business with, it's like, well, why are you there? And I love
Mhm.
that aspect with the Facebook and that you're saying, like, don't forget Facebook still exists. And
Yep.
we get so caught up in the hype, and that's another should. Like, oh, I should post on Instagram and MLMs. Goodness, they've worked for some people, and I've seen some people really blow up. But I'm like, you don't have to post 7 times a day,
Oh
seven
my
days
God,
a
no.
week
No.
to make it. Like it
Nope.
depends on what your strategy is. What are you trying to communicate? What are you trying to do? You're trying to establish your expert, your authority, your
Mhm.
visibility. If you have something that's like a quick, easy, like I can purchase this while I'm in line at Target, then by all means, put it out there. The $27 offers, the $7 offers, like those are all fantastic for certain people.
Yeah.
Like this is where I'm like, it also depends on what are you trying to get them to do.
Exactly.
So it's all part of a strategy. But
Yep.
just because the $7 offer worked for somebody else may or may not mean that it'll work for you.
Mm-mm.
And then this is where I also say you have to have the back end in place,
Yep.
which is where Tara comes in. Because if you don't have all the funnels in place and all the things aren't working, when they click on that and then it goes nowhere or it doesn't do anything, then you just wasted all of that time and effort.
Exactly. It's so funny. This is so interesting. I don't post a lot on TikTok anymore, speaking with all the platforms. Mine are like Facebook, and I don't. It's funny because I post in the groups. My actual profile on there is not like active. I don't really do anything, but I post in groups. So I
Okay.
use it differently too than most people would, but that's a whole other
But it's
conversation.
working for you. So
Yeah.
then that's awesome.
So I do Facebook, Instagram, my website, my podcast, email is like my primary. But
Oh,
I
so hold on.
do have
You said that way too quickly. Do that again one more time. So you do Facebook groups.
so Facebook, Instagram, website, my podcast, and email are
Okay.
like kind of my primary ones. I do post occasionally on TikTok. I don't as much anymore, but it's funny talking about like the back end stuff. I have a video on there that is still like just going viral, and it every day gets likes and saves, and it is so weird. It's how to set up a checkout system for your business
Okay.
because you have to get paid. And there are so this is like it's mind-blowing, but there are so many people that come into the online space, and they'll see that, oh, it's easy to set up a business, it's easy to do this, and just go out there, promote something, do whatever. Well, how do you get paid for it? No one talks about these like back end things that you have to actually set up. And so it is still going viral. I still get comments on it, I still get questions like, what is the best thing to use, blah blah blah, whatever, because you have to get paid still. It's like these simple little things. And if you don't have these things set up, it's really hard for your business to run properly.
So hard. Well, and you make it so much harder. And so then it's
Yeah.
like we drive, and I had this conversation on when I had a website lady on, and I was like, man, I don't know. And this is embarrassing. I don't know how many years I was in business before I had a way to capture emails on my website.
Yep.
And I remember the first time I learned about it, I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Mm-hmm.
It seems so simple now, right? But I was
Yep.
so focused on you need a logo, you need a website.
Yep.
And that's it. That's where it basically stopped, right? I was like, okay, I have a logo, I have a website, and now the business is going to come. But it didn't. And then I was like, oh, wait, I have to have a way to have people find my website. And then when they do find the website, I was like, okay, I have all these people going, but then there's not any action being taken. And that could be one of a bajillion different reasons because
Yep.
I am very well known for starting something, getting distracted, and I had full intention to do whatever it was that was on that website, the call to action, whatever the case may be. I don't even know how many tabs open on my phone because I leave it and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm going to come back to that." But what I love is when there's a pop-up that makes me fill out my email address
Mm-hmm.
because then I can't tell you how many times I've gotten the email from somebody that I was like, "Oh yeah, I really intended to go buy that thing or do that thing, or I really wanted more information on whatever service you're offering. I just got distracted because life.
Yep.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if a kid walked in. I don't know if I had to drive somewhere. I don't know if I was sitting on the sidelines and then practice ended and now I've got to go run to make dinner, or was I browsing while the water was boiling? Because how many times have you done that? Like
Yep.
sitting there waiting for the water to boil and it's like, okay, now it's boiling. Now I got to go do whatever. So, but I had literally I honestly don't know how long it was. In my email list, I am blown away how many people will subscribe to my email list. And I don't know where they came from. Was it
Yep.
Google? Did they hear about me? Was it a referral? I don't know. But they click and then now they're on my email list. And now I have an opportunity to keep in touch with them. And I've put them into a funnel, which by the way was the next step, right? It's like, okay, now you have an email list. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm embarrassed to say, I did the email thing and did nothing with it.
Yep.
Like, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Now I'm capturing their email." And then someone was like, "You have to have a flow sequence." I was like, "You have to have a what? A nurture sequence?
Yep.
What is that?" I have no idea. So this is all the stuff that like goes into the back end that you help with, right? That
Yep.
most people don't really think about, or it stays on the to-do list. This is my favorite thing too,
Mm-hmm.
because there's been a lot of things, and even still now, I have nurture sequences. I have, but that game is endless too, because you
Mhm.
can set up a nurture sequence. And then even right now, I'm working through, okay, so if they book a discovery call, and then this is what I want to happen. And if they reschedule, then I need it to kind of re up again and then go through this process. Or if they cancel, I want it to go through this process.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just tell you how long that stayed on my to-do list, and still some of
Mhm.
it is, because there's only so many hours in a day and there's only so much that I can do. And then this is where I think you guys, like people in your world, are godsends, because what you can do in 5 minutes would probably take me 10 hours, and it still would be wrong. Some link somewhere would be broken because that has been the story of my life. Like, I think the website, I spent hours and hours and hours trying to get it set up. I thought it had it all done. And then somebody looked at me and then sends me a message and be like, hey, this link isn't doing anything. Or like, this button isn't doing anything. And you're like, oh my gosh. Or this button's taking me to some opposite page. I was like, oh man. So that's
Yep.
actually something I tend to do now too. Like I just had a conversation with somebody the other day and I was like, hey, your YouTube and Instagram are going to the same place. I think you want one to go the other. And I forget which one was backwards, but you spend all this time and
Mhm.
effort, and then so many things can get broken. But when they work and they work beautifully,
Yep.
then you're driving traffic and keeping people moving in a
Yep.
system that works really, really well. So
Yes.
give me, this isn't a little off topic for branding, but I want to kind of come back to the systems because this is where you're an expert at. If somebody is listening right now and they're like,
Mhm.
all of that sounds phenomenal, but now you've also overwhelmed me because it's still on that list of like long to
Yeah.
dos and shoulds.
Yeah.
What's your number one recommendation for like, well, outside of maybe a conversation with you, where I think like you may be able to help. But if someone is still in that like DIY phase, what's like the number one thing that you think people should look at to see if that system is working for them? Where do you start?
Yeah. So the number one thing that I do always start with is email because literally so many people are missing it. It is mind blowing how many people are actually missing that in your business. And one thing I always say too is it doesn't matter how many followers you have, they're not leads.
Mhm.
Until you get them on your email list, you capture their name. Those aren't leads. They're people, anybody can follow you. Anyone can hit that
Right.
follow button. It doesn't matter. You need to capture who are your actual leads. And until you have an email list, you can't really do that. Yes, you can track them other ways, but you really need an email list so that you can nurture more, so that you can have those other flows doing the other things, bringing them onto that list so that you can sell to them in the back end. Like all of that. Email is so underrated, and so many people like don't want to do it, don't want to go there, or like think that it's outdated, whatever. But it is the one thing that you really, really need in your business. And it doesn't have to be that overwhelming. Like, you don't need a ton of different funnels and a ton of stuff set up. Where I would really start is, you know, obviously getting it initially set up, but having that there, have a welcome sequence, really, really simple. Introduce yourself, the next email, give out one of your best freebies, whatever you want it to be. You can just have it even be 2 emails. Like, it really doesn't have to be like this huge long thing, especially when we think about how busy we all are. Nobody needs to get like 10 emails from you in a welcome sequence. Like, no one has time to read that. Doesn't have to be a million emails long. So don't think that it has to be this big long thing. But I would have a welcome sequence, and I would have a specific freebie that you want people to be opting in for. Because usually people do want to get something in exchange for their email address. They don't generally just want to like sign up to be on your list
Right.
because they don't know what they're getting. They're like, well, what for? Like, I don't want to just get more emails. We get enough emails. Like, you want something, right? So give a freebie that actually delivers value to someone, whatever it is that they want, and set up that sequence, whether it then just leaves them on your list so then you can, email every week or whatever, that's fine. Or whether it upsells them into an offer, you can do that as well. But set up those two, start there. That's like basic. Just do that.
Love it. And that was that basic aha moment that I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm missing
Mhm.
out on so much opportunity because I just," and that can be a pop-up on your website as far
Yeah.
as make it super easy, guys. Don't make it super complicated for someone to find, and I think that's where too you just have to kind of watch the user experience because if I land on someone's website and there's a pop-up, sometimes I'm like, "Ugh, like did I even land on the right place? I don't know. I'm looking at your pop-up." But, give me a few and that freebie. You're right. I love to get information from people.
Hmm.
Like, if you can give me something in exchange and I'm putting in my email address, super easy. I
Yep.
honestly forget all the time, and this is a business I'm in, that I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna be trying to nurture me, or you're gonna try to sell something to me." I was like, "I just want whatever you're giving me." Like, that's really
Yep.
cool. I wanna learn, and then I can decide, is this more information I need? Do I like it? Does this open up the opportunity? But then you have them, and I think this is something too, we get so caught up in followers, we get caught up in all of that, but we don't own that. And the
Nope.
unfortunate reality is, like, it could go away tomorrow. I've had clients who've gotten hacked. Like, I have had all these things, and so it's like your email list, though, you have that, you can nurture, you can send information, you can share
Hmm.
news, and if you are being authentic and you're building your brand through that, like, I love it, and I tell people too, even if they don't read it, you
Hmm.
still have to get deleted, right? Like, they still have to click on your name in, like, the email, and it's like, "Oh, okay, they sent me something, and either I wanna read it or I'm thinking about you now." Like, I had to look at you and be like, "Okay, cool, well, they sent me something." And
Yeah.
so you get to choose what your strategy is, and I love how you said keep it simple. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be, and it shouldn't be 10 bajillion emails long, and I like to tell people to, like, start with 1 email a month. Stay top of
Yeah.
mind. Work your way up to, like, 1 a week, and then I
Yes.
have clients that during certain seasons will do more, or if you're launching something or
Yep.
whatever, you can do a higher frequency, but everything for me, it's like marketing minimalist. Like, what can you do
Yes.
consistently, and what can you
Exactly.
be consistent at? And this is where the systems really come into place, though, because if you can set up the systems, then it's
Hmm.
a set and forget. Like,
Exactly.
someone fills it out, they get your freebie, and they get an email.
Hmm.
Done. You don't have to think about it again. You don't have
Yep.
to go in and respond every single time, like, the systems are set up for you. So talk to me a little bit about the impact that the systems are allowing, or that you've seen that systems have been able to help with the branding side, because I think for me, branding is so much more than just the logo and the colors. It's an experience. So
Hmm.
I know for me personally, I have gotten feedback on, wow, like, your information, you are staying on top of it, like reminders, and this is coming up, and like, you know,
Hmm.
the as simple as like, oh, your gallery is about to expire. Like, I send those
Yeah.
reminders, and those are all systems, guys, like, which when they work, they're beautiful. And then I've realized I have to go in and take out anything in my systems that requires me touching it, because then forget it. Like, then
Yeah.
it's going to be a problem. But do you have any experience, or have you had outside of your own, either with your own brand or some of your clients, like, how has these systems really impacted the building of a brand?
Yeah. So I think in two ways, like you said, it can be so supportive in, you know, giving those reminders, and with like the client experience, when someone even, when someone buys something and the onboarding is just like a nice flow to come into your business, and it's not this like cut and paste thing where somebody's waiting for information and they don't really know what's happening next, and like, when am I getting this thing, and did I actually pay because I haven't gotten confirmation, and when are we starting, or when is this happening? It's like when I do onboarding and I walk someone through this, setting it up for them, when a, their client pays, they automatically get an email that has all of the links that they need in there, their call booking links, their onboarding form. If they can be automatically added to any, like if it's a membership, let's say, they can be automatically added to that membership hub instead of you having to manually do that, like that's all done. Getting all of those pieces put together so that it's just like a nice flow, those kind of things are really, really helpful and supportive for not only you, but also your clients. So there's that aspect of it. Then there's the systems that, save you time. So it's automating and saving you time with the tasks that you have to do. So then you have more time to actually go out and build relationships. And that's another part of being able to build your brand so that you can actually go be the face of your business, because you actually have the time to do it, because you're not stuck in the back end of your business having to work through all of these little tasks on the back end, send out, manual emails all the time, or do these little like menial tasks day to day that could be automated. Or think about, it's even like thinking about the flow of things. When you have that in a system and you just know what happens next, things flow so much easier. You save a lot of time, and then you're able to actually go spend time in the places where it makes a much bigger impact, like building connections, like building relationships with people. And like, there's so many there's a lot of people that say that they don't have time to, be in the DMs or whatever. But if you focus on actually automating these other things, you will have time for that. And that's going to be so much more important.
I love that. And I think this is where I say too, if you've been listening and you're like, I have no idea what I could even automate or where I
Yeah.
could start, that's where someone like Tara could come in and help because that's where I started. I was like, cool, the sound of
Mhm.
automation sounds amazing, but I was so caught up in the nuances of doing everything that I had no idea that I knew emails could be automated because I use Flowdesk, for instance. And so like that made it easy for me to realize that there was a workflow and automations, but there's so much more that can be automated than I even realized was possible.
Mhm.
And it frees up so much time
Yeah.
so that I can focus on the areas of my business that require me, require my touch, require my face. But for me, the impact has also been in just, like you said, the client experience, because that's what the fastest way when things like when people are starting to ask and wonder what's next or what's going on, it makes it very difficult. And
Mhm.
you can make up for it. And sometimes, there are things are going to happen, guys. Like you can put all the best things in place and it's still going to have something that goes a little
Oh, yeah.
awry. But if overall the communication is there and the systems are there, it not only makes your life better, but it makes your client experience better, which speaks volumes to them wanting to refer somebody, working with you, all those pieces. Okay, so I would love to kind of do a rapid fire round for some quick takeaways. What is one tool that you can't live without?
I would say the one tool I can't live without is probably Asana because it
Okay.
organizes everything for me. I know that's so weird. It organizes everything in my business though for me, and I need organization because I have ADHD. And so if I don't have it, I would be like scatterbrained all over the place. And so it is just like my organizer, and I love it.
So that's like for those that don't know what Asana is, I do. But if you don't know what Asana is a customer retention management tool, correct? Like where you can
Well, it's
put
like
all of the things.
you can do that with it. It's like a project management tool. It like organizes your tasks. I keep my leads in there. You can do planning, content planning. Like there's a lot that you can do with it. Basically, I just plan out my whole business and like all of my I also keep like SOPs in there, my links for everything in there. Like I keep everything in there. It's basically like my business hub. So it
Love
just
it.
keeps me organized with everything.
All in one place. Makes it so
Mhm.
easy. So I think you mentioned earlier your favorite way to connect with your audience is through Facebook groups, correct?
That or like in the DMs. Yeah.
Okay. So
Mhm.
DMs. So you really like to go one on one. You like to
I love
really
it. Yeah.
start a conversation with people.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, one tip on how you start. So, if someone's like, okay, that sounds great, but I'm not even sure how I start, what is it
Mhm.
that is there a strategy that you have as far as starting a conversation with someone in a Facebook group or a DM?
Yes. So I think so often people overthink this like way too much. And we always think that we have to go in with the intention because we're always thinking with like the business hat on. So we're like, oh, we have to go in to make the sale. Go in just as your regular, like normal human person self and just like have a normal conversation. That's how I always approach it. And I also don't comment on things that I'm not interested in. Like if I'm not genuinely interested in the thing, I'm not going to comment. Like I make a comment because I'm actually truly commenting on it authentically. Another thing on Instagram, I will reply to stories. Like I love doing it. I reply to stories all the time. And it's like
Okay.
my genuine, authentic reaction. And that starts a conversation. And
That's been a
it's,
fun feature. I really like that feature.
I know, and it's just being yourself. And I think taking that pressure off of thinking about it as like this has to be a sales conversation or it has to lead to a sale, that's huge.
I think if you go in with it on building a relationship,
Yeah.
like that's your approach. So if you're
Yeah.
going in to build a relationship and then to see what comes from it, then it makes it easier. Because I
Hmm.
think you're right. It is. If when you've got the pressure of I'm going in and I have to make sure I say this right or set this up right, no one loves being sold to.
No.
Everyone wants the relationship piece. And I think what you offer is so genuinely needed by so many people. They just need to know that you exist. So I think
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome. So, what do you feel is something that makes someone stand out as a brand today?
I think that you are going to stand out. And this is something that we've been talking about throughout the podcast. Honestly, by being human. There's so many people that are relying on AI. You can see it in content, you can see it in so many things. And if you show up as yourself and, you know, be human, you are going to stand out. And it doesn't mean that you can't use ChatGPT to get ideas to do whatever, but don't use it to like fully write your content and do all of that. People want to feel a connection with you. They they really do. And when someone like I've had this happen too with clients and things and I've had to tell them like we have to rewrite your whole email sequence because this just sounds like AI, like you're not connecting with anyone. We need
Right.
to redo this because you're not going to connect with anyone. It's not going to resonate. Like you have to really put yourself and your personality in there. And I think that that's how you're going to stand out.
I love that. The become the face of your brand and make it
Mhm.
authentic. And I think again, I we all use AI tools nowadays. It's in everything that we can have an option to do, but you just can't copy paste. You have to be able to read through it, change it because there are things that it's almost like someone writing in a second when it's their second language. There's just things
Yeah.
that don't sound right, that don't flow right. And then you're almost copying somebody else's words. And
Yeah.
so if it's saying something in a way that you would never say it, and so I like to read through some of my stuff and I use it to help me generate ideas, but I usually start with ideas. Like, this is what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. This is what I want. Now go. And I'm like, no, let's try
Yeah.
this again or rephrase this again. Or then I take it. I'm like, okay, well, that's a fun start. And then I go in and make all the tweaks to make it sound like me and have my feel. But yes,
Hmm.
the authenticity, I think it's coming back and we've been seeing it. The restructuring and the personal branding really taking a launch has been huge and there's a reason. And
Hmm.
I think maybe all this comes back to 2020 and the fact that like we all kind of had to be isolated and alone and we all started really craving that human connection again. And I think that's the opportunity. So I agree with
Yeah.
you wholeheartedly. The opportunity there lies in, and this goes back to the old adage, what I said earlier. Is we do business with those we know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
And so when you have something, and there's so many of us that offer the same things, the reason that they're going to choose you is because they want to work with you. So you have to come out and be authentic and it'll come. So if you're if you're using ChatGPT, and then it's creating this persona of you that isn't you, then there's going to be a disconnect when they finally get on a call with you and you start talking and you're like,
Exactly.
"Hey, everything sounded so different. Like,
Yeah,
why does this not match?" So you have to make sure that everything matches so that you can stay true to it. I love that.
exactly.
Okay, I want you to wrap up with what's the biggest myth about branding that you'd love to bust?
The biggest myth about branding is that it goes back to all of like the shoulds and this pressure to have to fit into a box, because I feel like online all of we see a lot of these like fancy brands, and especially in the coaching realm, I find we see a lot of the same things, and those are apparently like what, the pinnacle of success. However, like, you need to do it your way. Like that is the biggest myth, that you need to actually build your brand a certain way to actually be successful. The
Mhm.
way that you are going to be successful as a personal brand is by being your authentic self.
I love that. Yes. If you missed it, hit rewind, go back 15 seconds, listen to what Tara said all over again. You have to be authentic to who you are. You can't copy somebody else. And we're all guilty of that in the
Hmm.
sense of, I am not all, but the majority of what I've seen is you see someone that's successful, you think that's the way it should be done. So you try to build your brand based on that. And that's not it's not normal. Like we've
Yeah.
been taught so many ways, like this is how you can be the most efficient at XYZ, and
Yeah.
why not learn from the best? And trust me, I am all about learning from those that have found success ahead of me. But if I think the first website that I did, no joke, formatted a template, used a template that looked like something that somebody else had formatted in colors that matched them and their personality. And I did the things like, and there is psychology to all those pieces, but I didn't resonate. Like I would look
Hmm.
at it, I'm like, I mean, it's pretty, but it didn't feel like me. Now I've got a brand that like when I look at it, I'm like, yes, like
Yeah.
that is me, and I'm excited and I'm pushing it out there because it truly is who I am and what
Hmm.
lights me up. And so there isn't a disconnect anymore. And that's what I love to hear. Like
Yeah.
when people reach out and they're like, gosh, I've been watching you, I've been following you, and like you just come across so genuine. And I'm like, oh, yay. Like that's exactly what I want. Because this is me. And
Hmm.
I am not for everybody. And if you,
Yeah.
listen to me and you watch me and you're like, no, thanks, that's okay. Go find someone out there that does what I do, that when you listen to them, you're like, yes, that is my person. But the only
Mhm.
way they're going to feel that is if you're authentic to who
Yeah.
you are and your message. And it all comes back to the storytelling. And so I love the fact that you said earlier, the one thing that you wish you would have done sooner is maybe weave in your story a little bit sooner. People resonate to that, whether it be they can relate because they walk something similar, or they just appreciate the fact that you're being open and real and authentic. Like they resonate with stories, and we crave connection.
Hmm.
So I appreciate your time. If anyone has been listening and they're intrigued by this idea of systems, and they're still like, thanks for the email tip, but I still have no idea what I really need. Tara, where can they find you?
Yeah, for sure. So on Instagram at I am Tara Leson, or well, like, I mean, you can come to my Facebook. I don't generally use my Facebook profile, so it is old. And like I said, I use Facebook differently, but um, I am there. And then my website, taraleson.com. You can check those out. My podcast is Unapologetic. So any of those is where you can find me.
I love that. And Tara offers a free or complimentary, whichever way you want to say it, session. So if you are not even sure you're running a business and you think that systems and strategies sounds phenomenal, but have no idea what you need or where to start, reach out to Tara and
Mhm.
she will have a conversation with you and give you some tips and recommendations on where you can take that and go. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. And I will put the links in the show notes for anybody that's interested.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's a wrap. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Branded Impact Podcast. If today's episode sparked something in you, please take a second to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend who's ready to unlock their rebrand era. And if you're ready for a brand that's rooted in authenticity and built for impact, one that truly reflects your story, your energy, and your evolution, let's connect. Head to brandingbyjo.com or DM me on Instagram at brandingbyjo. Thanks for hanging out. Now get out there, show up with purpose, and make your branded impact. I'll see you next week.